Hello. So I'm Tina Filipino, and I'm going to be leading you in some songs today and giving you some examples of some of the things we're going to be doing in the fall term, where we're going to be meeting on Mondays and singing together online. I have singing groups in the Comox Valley. I've been doing it for 20 years. And in the last 4 years, I've been focusing on Zoom sessions and bringing singing to people who are at home. And over to Zara.
Yeah, so my name is Zara, and I'm an occupational therapist, and I do a lot of work with Dr. Arsenault, including groups and things like that. And my role today is to help explain the science behind why singing is so good for your nervous system. After I'm done introducing myself, we'll do 5 minutes of singing and then about 25 minutes of me lecturing about why this is so good for our nervous systems. And then we have another 30 minutes of a singing session. And then we get to do questions.
Alrighty, so the first song what we're going to do is to really separate your listening from your singing. All right, listening is the biggest help. And you're going to be at all different levels. So those of you who are really hesitant to sing, you can just listen to this part. And those of you itching to sing, you can join right in. So this is a little pattern of the song that I'm going to teach you. What you ought to do is sing. What you ought to do is sing. What you ought to do is sing. Sing about your troubles and they just might pass. Sing about your troubles and they just might pass. So just that last part, sing along with me. Sing about your troubles and they just might pass. Sing about your troubles and they just might pass. So the first part, what you ought to do is sing. Your turn. What you ought to do is sing. My turn. What you ought to do is sing. Your turn. What you ought to do is sing. What you ought to do is sing. Sing about your troubles and they just might pass. Your turn. What you ought to do is sing. Sing about your troubles and they just might pass. What you ought to do is sing. What you ought to do is sing. What you ought to do is sing. Sing about your troubles and they just might pass. Sing about your troubles and they just might pass. So songs are just patterns. So see how this pattern that I just taught you fits into the song I'm going to sing, and join right in. If you feel worried, what you ought to do is sing. If you feel worried, what you ought to do is sing. If you're feeling worried, what you ought to do is sing. Sing about your troubles and they just might pass. Sing about your troubles and they just might pass. If you feel lost, what you ought to do is sing. If you feel lost, what you ought to do is sing. If you're feeling lost, what you ought to do is sing. Sing about your troubles and they just might pass. Sing about your troubles and they just might pass. And then this is the chorus, and I'm just going to sing this on my own. Sing about joy, singing about love and hoping it lasts. Sing about your troubles and they just might pass. They just might pass. Tired. So you've got the pattern now, so try and sing along with me. If you feel tired, what you ought to do is sing. If you feel tired, what you ought to do is sing. If you're feeling tired, what you ought to do is sing. Sing about your troubles and they just might pass. Sing about your troubles and they just might pass. Singing about joy, singing about love and hoping it lasts. Sing about your troubles and they just might pass. They just might pass. They just might pass. They just might pass. They just might, they just might, they just might pass. Over to you, Zara.
That was beautiful. I love that song so much. I have it on my re-energizing, make myself happier playlist.
Great.
That's a good tip for everyone, is to make a playlist that has songs that feel uplifting, because music can just really affect our nervous systems in such beautiful ways, listening and singing. Awesome. Thank you so much, Tina. So yeah, we're going to talk about how music impacts our nervous system. And one of the first things to do is just understand the nervous system a little bit. Now, we go into this in great detail in the nervous system course, but this will just be a brief overview. So when we're thinking about the nervous system, we have our central nervous system. This is our brain and spinal cord. And then we have our peripheral nervous system. So this is all the nerves that carry information to and from the brain and spinal cord. So we're going to be talking about tactile brain in a lot of ways. There's a really good book called This Is Your Brain on Music. And in that book, they talk about all kinds of wonderful things regarding how music impacts our dopamine system, our serotonin, our brain chemicals, and how it can impact our thoughts and that kind of stuff. But today we're going to be focused on the peripheral nervous system and largely the autonomic nervous system, because in these conditions, when you have, long COVID or ME/CFS or fibromyalgia, these chronic conditions, often what happens is that your autonomic nervous system, so the part of your nervous system that controls all of the automatic functions in your body, like breathing and sweating and heart rate, that is basically experiencing a dysfunction. So there's a dysfunction of your autonomic nervous system, which can lead to a lot of the symptoms associated with these disorders. And when we regulate that system, when we come back into regulation, we can reduce some of those symptoms. So we can help our bodies physically restore some of the function simply by regulating our system. And music, especially singing, is one of the most powerful ways we can do this, because if you think about it, humans have been singing for thousands and thousands of years, right? It's one of the first things we did even before talking. So it's a way that we've connected. It's a way that we've shared our experiences. It's a way that we've expressed emotion. It's a way that we've celebrated for thousands and thousands of years. So it's deeply ingrained as something that's safe in our systems and can really help us to feel more regulated. So our autonomic nervous system, that's the one we're interested in. It's broken down into sympathetic. So this is the active part of that nervous system. This is when we need to go, we need to fight, we need to flight. This is the push forward, give ourselves adrenaline, let's go kind of part of our nervous system. So that's a sympathetic part of our nervous system. Then we have the parasympathetic part of this nervous system, which is let's rest, let's digest, let's connect. So when we sing, what happens is that we're actually engaging the parasympathetic nervous system. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about exactly how we're doing that, because it's really important to get ourselves out of fight or flight. Because if we don't get out of fight or flight, what happens is that we go into freeze or faint, which is basically like a shutdown of the system. And that freeze or faint can explain a lot of the exhaustion that you feel from chronic fatigue. A lot of that has to do with the nervous system being frozen. Basically, it's basically making you exhausted in a way to protect you. And that dysregulation is part of that. So when we move into parasympathetic, we're moving out of that. We're giving our bodies more energy to be able to feel calm and to feel connected with other people, to feel creative, to feel in flow, to feel focused. All these kinds of things are associated with that parasympathetic state. So that's what we want to aim for. So this is also called rest and digest, or the social engagement system, where again, we feel all these things that are quite positive for our system. So to understand a system, it's helpful to understand the controls of that system. And especially when we're thinking about singing and how it influences the system, we really want to consider the vagus nerve, because this is a very big part about why it's so good for bringing us into that regulation. So the vagus nerve, I'll show you a picture of it. This is the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is sort of like a brake on our nervous system. So it slows things down. The top of the nerve runs from our amygdala in our brain all the way down into our belly, into our stomach. And then the dorsal vagus nerve runs from the stomach down into the pelvis. The ventral vagus nerve is like the regular brake on your car. So if you're in fight or flight, the gas is pumped, you're going fast. Braking would be using that ventral vagus nerve. That's how we get back into a sense of safety. That's how we get back into regulation, is by pressing the brake, basically. What happens with chronic conditions is that this nerve is weaker. It's not used as much. So it's easier for the body to become dysregulated in a very physical way. So all those physical sensations I was talking about earlier, it's much easier for the body to kind of slip into that. So this nerve is not as strong. So it's kind of like your brake pads are starting to go out on your car, right? So it's not functioning as well as it should. And one very great way to strengthen this nerve is actually to sing. Because as you can see in this picture, there's a lot of branches of this nerve. This nerve innervates many different parts of the body. So it goes up into the ears, it goes up into the tongue and into the vocal cords and down into all throughout your throat, into your heart, into your lungs, all this. There's plenty of places that it innervates. But one of the places that it innervates well is the vocal cords. So when we vibrate our vocal cords, when we use our vocal cords, especially in a specific way that translates safety, meaning that we're humming, we're singing along to a song, like it's really rare that you would be lightheartedly singing a song if there was a lion in front of you, right? It's a signal of safety to the system, and it physically strengthens this nerve, which is really important for you to be able to feel in that parasympathetic state. So to feel regulated and to reduce a lot of the symptoms that you might be experiencing. So that's part of the reason why it's so good for us. And the amygdala, that's kind of like the gas of the nervous system. So we also call the amygdala, it's two almond-shaped parts of the limbic system. So our emotional brain, the fear center in our brain. We also call it the screaming almond of terror, because this little almond-shaped part of your brain, all it knows is I'm going to die. So it will push the gas pedal in your brain and just cause you to, that's it. That's all it knows. It just says, I'm going to die all the time. And when you have chronic conditions, this screaming almond, it's screaming all the time, right? It's just telling you all the time that something's wrong subconsciously, right? It's not a conscious perception of you feel unsafe. It's that your body thinks something is wrong. So it's kind of throwing you into dysregulation, causing a lot of these symptoms that you're experiencing. So one of the things that singing does is it reduces the activity in the amygdala. So it's like kind of muffling the screaming almond of terror, taking away its microphone and causing it to be less loud. So the amygdala is less loud, the vagus nerve more active, we have a more regulated system. Basically, we have a sixth sense in our systems. It's called neuroception. So we're always picking up on unconscious signals from our internal and external environments and our social environments. So this is one of the ways that singing is also really powerful, because when we're singing in a group, especially, we are hearing other people's voices, we're seeing their facial expressions, you're probably laughing together between songs. There's a lot of cues of safety in that environment, right? And even if you're singing alone at home, again, you probably wouldn't be singing if there was a lion in front of you, right? So it's a cue of safety to your nervous system, which really helps with regulation. So basically, you're helping your nervous system to understand that it's safe enough. We're never 100% safe in any situation, but if we can help the nervous system understand that it's safe enough, and the cues of safety that we're giving it, are outweighing the cues of danger in our environment, then we're going to be more regulated and we're going to have less physical symptoms and emotional symptoms as well. So let's talk a little bit more about why singing in a group is so powerful, the science behind it a little bit more now that we've got this background on the nervous system. So the vagus nerve activation, like I was saying, the vibrations generated by singing and humming directly activate the vagus nerve. And then when we're singing, we often are experiencing a long exhale. Like when you hold a note, you're breathing out for much longer than you typically would. And your exhale is responsible for your parasympathetic system. So you've probably all had the experience of being scared. And when you're scared, the first thing that you do is go, right? You take a quick inhale. Your inhale increases your heart rate and starts to put you into fight or flight. If we all sat here and went, we're going to start to freak out, right? We're all going to start to have a panic attack. Our heart's going to go fast. If you hyperventilate like that, you're putting your nervous system into a state of vigilance, right? If we exhale slowly, and singing is great for this because you're holding notes. When we exhale slowly, that activates our parasympathetic system. So it slows everything right down. It helps your heart rate to slow down. It helps everything to just kind of come back into regulation. So that's a really good way that music and singing can help us to kind of regulate. Another thing is that singing is often a flow state. So yes, when you're learning a song, there might be more cognitive things going on. But generally, if you're learning a song, then your mind is consumed with that task of learning, right? And if you know a song really well and you're just singing along, then you're in a flow state. And a flow state is really good for the nervous system. Flow states are associated with reduced thoughts, so reduced worry, reduced rumination, and then also more resilience and better mood. And the great thing about a flow state too is that it can really help you to like have time pass in a really beautiful way. And then it feels really meaningful to have that flow state as well. So there's a lot of reasons why this is good. And you can probably think of a few things for you in your life that might cause the flow state. Singing is certainly one for me. But even if you're just trying to learn a new skill and singing feels really like a very brand new thing for you, that's going to be really good for occupying the mind. And then you're building that neuroplasticity too. So you're changing your brain by learning something new, and just having that focus on building and working towards something, really good for your brain, really good for your cognition too, because you're using your memory, you're using your attention, right? So it's good for cognition. So it's also a sense of safety. So like I said earlier, we've communicated safety and celebration through song for thousands of years. We wouldn't be singing in a threatening situation. And you're also boosting your confidence by learning a new skill, right? And if we think about being in a survival state, so if you think about being really angry, your vocal tone is one of the first things to change, right? So if you're in fight mode, your vocal tone is probably going to be harsh and loud. If you're in flight, you might have a shaky voice, right? It might not be able to really get the air through your vocal cords properly. If you're in freeze or fawn, you might be talking really quietly or with a really flat, no tone, no musicality in your voice, right? When someone's really depressed, they often talk like this, right? Not much musicality. So the vocal tone that you express actually regulates your system. You can probably tell just from how I've been talking over the last, however many minutes I've been talking, you can tell that my voice goes up and down and kind of all around, right? That's called musicality. There's this like intonation and tone that goes up and down. That is indication of a regulated system. And we do that a lot when we're singing, right? We follow this tone, we follow this melody, and that really translates to our system. that we are safe. So it's a good regulatory thing of our system, because yeah, if we were dysregulated, our vocal tone would be different. It's also our social engagement system. So we are social creatures. We are built on being social. That's basically how we survived as humans without, big claws or big teeth. We survived by connecting and learning each other's strengths and playing off of that. So seeing other humans singing is a really good signal of safety for our systems. Group engagement cues us into calm. So of course, you can feel, especially with long COVID or ME/CFS, it can feel really isolating, right? You're not necessarily always in groups where people are smiling and doing something like singing, where, they would do it if they were safe. So seeing others do that, and I'm sure in the course, the videos will probably be on, so you could see for some people if you feel comfortable with that. So that group engagement really cues us into calm. And then there's a sense of accomplishing something as a group. There's really nothing that builds glue between people better than a shared common goal. That's like the number one way to avoid group conflicts, is to have a shared common goal. So if we can avoid group conflicts with that, we can also build very strong bonds that way as well. Then there's also physical changes that come with singing. Singing kind of forces you to have a better posture, because in order to get the right tone, in order to use your instrument, which is your lungs and the apparatus in all the mouth, your sinuses, to use all of this properly, you have to have a good posture. So singing helps you to have a better posture. Better posture translates to more regulation in the system, because we would have a good posture when we feel safe. Breath control, so use of the diaphragm. Most of my clients these days have ME/CFS or long COVID, and I would say 95% of them are not breathing into their diaphragm like on the daily. They're not belly breathing. They're using the top of their lungs, so they're breathing apically, which is really dysregulating for the system. So when we train ourselves to actually use our diaphragm fully to breathe and to take those big belly breaths, which you have to do when you're singing, then that's really regulating for the system. It enhances your lung function, which we know can be a problem with long COVID, especially, right? There can be like much damage to the lungs, which can make it harder to function well. But when you're singing, you're exercising the muscles that are around the rib cage, which increases your lung capacity. There's also a release of endorphins when we sing. Endorphins are a natural painkiller, and they also help with energy. Serotonin, which helps with sleep and mood, and dopamine, which helps with energy and mood. So there's all these really wonderful chemicals that are released. Singing, like I said earlier, improves your memory, mental alertness, and concentration, because you're focusing on multiple things at once and you're engaging the brain and learning something new. I read a really interesting article when I was researching for this presentation that said that singing actually improves your immune response, which, as we know, with conditions like ME/CFS and long COVID, your immune response is lowered. So that's a really cool thing for this population, I think. And then it reduces stress hormones like cortisol. Often in long COVID, ME/CFS, your cortisol system has gone a little haywire, right? So anything we can do to regulate that system is a good thing. And then it improves speaking abilities. I do have a lot of clients who have difficulty with speaking, enunciating the things they want to say, remembering what they want to say, or speaking fluidly. So when we sing, it's a really great way to train our speech as well. So that is my presentation. That's my email if you'd like to work with me, or you're interested in any of the courses that I offer. And then, yeah, we're going to shift it over back to the singing portion now. So I'll let you take it back over.
Right. Just hang on, we're trying to get my audio. There, I'm on. Can you hear me? All right, so I'm inviting you to participate right now. And I understand you're all different levels of singing. And as I said before, if what I'm doing feels like a bit much, just know that in the class we'll be stepping it down a little bit. I just wanted to make sure that you got some examples of some of the things that we're going to do. So every class has a warm-up, which includes some warm-up songs. Then we learn new material. And then and Zara was talking about that, the flow of singing. So the last bit of the class, the songs that we learn and we know, we sing them one after the other at the end, so that we're just singing. At first, that'll take a while before we get a few songs that we can do that. But I'm going to start you off with a warm-up, and participate if you can. And first of all, just sitting comfortably in your chair. And don't do anything that's a stretch in the movements. Don't do anything that hurts. If you feel resistance, just back off. It's just fine to do what you can do. And if you can't move very much, you can even just think about the movements. So we're just going to start by looking at our hands, right? So squeezing them, wiggling your fingers, and then turning, looking at the backs of your hands and the front. And then just start moving your wrists back and forth. And then as you're doing this, you'll notice that your elbows start to get involved too. So and what we're doing is we're just getting our instrument ready to sing. And the more flow we have in our bodies and the easier we can move and relax, the easier our voice will get out, as well as vibrate within ourselves as we're singing. So as you're moving your shoulders backwards, then move them forwards, and then bringing them up in a shrug, and then just letting them go. All right. Now you're just going to, as I vocalize, you're going to vocalize right after me. So, hello. Your turn. Hello. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. No, 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 no. Wee! Try that. You get a big smile out of that sound. Wee! And now we're going to make the sound move around. We're going to take an ooh and go ooh. Try that. Ooh. And then we'll do a sigh coming down. Ah. We're going to take our fingers, sort of like Spock, live long and prosper if you're tricky. And then just gently stroking down the neck. Not pushing too hard, just from the sides of the ears. And bringing your jaw nice and relaxed. And one more time. Nice relaxed jaw. You're going to brighten your eyes, keep that jaw nice and relaxed. We're going to make the sound ja, like ja ja gabor. And we're going to take virtual frisbees. Be really careful. Check out your space before you do this. And we're going to fling the frisbee and create a sound for its trajectory. So listen, I'll do the first one. Ready? Ja! Your turn. Ja! And now the other side. Ja! Another shoulder shrug and a wiggle and a bit of bouncing. All right, now we're going to do a little song. And this is really to open up the muscles in the face. So have a listen first. So always listen before you sing. And here it goes. It's a bit silly. Cats meow out of angst. Thumbs. If we only had thumbs. If we only had thumbs. If we only had thumbs. We would break so much. I want you to try meowing. I want you to feel the muscles in your face that work to make the meow, as well as feeling the sound moving through. So let's try it together. Meow. Try that with me. Meow. All right, you're gonna just quickly, we're gonna run through this song so you can learn it a bit. Here we go. Cats meow out of angst. Your turn. Cats meow out of angst. Next part. Thumbs. If we only had thumbs. If we only had thumbs. If we only had thumbs. Your turn. Thumbs. If we only had thumbs. If we only had thumbs. If we only had thumbs. We would break so much. So before we do that part, try that whimpering. Oh, oh. There's a little that's your soft palate moving up and down. Listen again. We would break so much. Your turn. We would break so much. So we'll just leave that one there. So that's one of the warm-up songs. We have quite a number that we learn and go through. Now, the next song that we're going to do is called This Is Home, and it's by Sophie M. Matthew. And she actually wrote this song before COVID closed everything down, but it became a song that was sung around the world on Zoom with choirs. And it goes like this. So just listen all the way through and get the complete form of the song before we break it down. So this is a song that has call and response in it to learn it. So just listen at first though. This is home where I belong. In this breath, in this heart, this is home where I belong. In this voice, in this song. So just after me. This is home where I belong, where I belong. In this breath, in this breath, in this heart, in this heart. This is home where I belong, where I belong. In this voice, in this song. Keep going. This is home where I belong, where I belong. In this breath, in this breath, in this heart, in this heart. This is home where I belong, where I belong. In this voice, in this voice, in this song, in this song. So this time I'm just going to sing it. I'm going to count on that you're either responding after I sing it or you're singing it along with me. Here we go. This is home where I belong. In this breath, in this heart, this is home where I belong. In this voice, in this song. So that's a lovely little one. And when we first started on Zoom, I think Zoom was up and running within days of closing down for COVID. And all over the world, we were meeting each other online and singing, and it was really wonderful. It wasn't choir. It wasn't the same as singing in a group. But what we did in the first while when we were singing on Zoom, and is that we were pretending we were singing with the choir. All right. And I did that for about 2 years. And then 2 years ago, I started doing things differently. So we don't imagine we're singing in a choir. You can imagine you don't even have to imagine it. You're actually singing with me. And the way I have things set up, we can do duets, we can do parts. I don't hear you at all. You hear me, but with my voice coming through the speakers, and if you balance that volume so that it's the same volume as your singing voice, then we can sing together. And there's all little tricks that I have for doing that. So the next song that I'm going to do is a breathing meditation, and all you have to do is carry one small little part, and then I use looping to layer the song, and gives you a whole different experience. So we're going to start off with, I just have to get the pitch. It goes like this. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. That's it, try it. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Really relax into it. Breathe in, breathe out. Now the second part, and this is a layered song. The next part goes like this. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Sing that. In, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. So we're going to layer those two together, and then we're going to add a third part. So here we go. So you can choose which part you want to sing, or you can alternate between them. You're singing at home and you can do what you want. And there's all different variations that you can do when I'm doing the loops. So here we go. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Now we're going to add a third part, and for those of you who have a higher voice, you might want to try this one. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. One more time. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. All right, we're going to put them all together. So starting with the first part, we'll layer them one at a time. Just pick the part you want to sing, stay with it, keep looping around, or jump from part to part. It's up to you. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. All right. Hopefully you could join in on that. I'm not used to doing this without being able to see your faces, so I'm just hoping you're singing along. The next song I'm going to do is just, this is a lullaby. It's my favorite lullaby. I'll sing it for you first, and then I'm going to teach it to you. Lay down your head. Breathe a little deeply and let the whole day slide away. You're in my arms as I'm lullabying. Darkness arises to comfort you. Is that pretty? First part, listen. Lay down your head. Breathe a little deeply. Your turn. Lay down your head. Breathe a little deeply. My turn. Let the whole day slide away. Your turn. Let the whole day slide away. Now just listen. Lay down your head. Breathe a little deeply. Let the whole day slide away. From the top. Lay down your head. Breathe a little deeply. Let the whole day slide away. Next part. You're in my arms and I'm lullabying. Your turn. You're in my arms and I'm lullabying. My turn. Darkness arises to comfort you. Darkness arises to comfort you. We're just singing that last half. You're in my arms and I'm lullabying. Darkness arises to comfort you. From the top of the song. Lay down your head. Breathe a little deeply. Lay down your head. Breathe a little deeply. Let the whole day. Let the whole day slide away. You're in my arms and I'm lullabying. Darkness arises to comfort you. Now we'll do it with Lou. Lou, Lou. one more time. We're going to get it set in. Maybe you'll remember it tonight when you go to bed. Lay down your head. Breathe a little deeply. Breathe a little deeply. Let the whole day, the whole day slide away. You're in my arms. You're in my arms. And I'm lullabying. Darkness arises to comfort you. Such a pretty song. And that, who did I write that? That's by Rachel Weasley. Now, the next song I'm going to do, so I'm trying to do all different genres here. The next song is called Revival. And we're just going to learn the tag that goes at the end. It starts like this. I'm gonna get down to the river. I'm gonna take up the revival. I'm gonna lead with peace today. Listen to that first part. I'm gonna get down to the river. Try that. I'm gonna get down to the river. I'm gonna take up the revival. I'm gonna take up the revival from the top. I'm gonna get down to the river. I'm gonna take up the revival. I'm gonna lead with peace today. I'm gonna lead with peace today. Slipped a bit. I'm gonna get down to the river. I'm gonna take up the revival. I'm gonna lead with peace today. Now, this song has a pattern. You're gonna learn it very quickly and you're gonna sing along with me, I'm sure. I'm gonna lead with peace today. I'm gonna lead with peace today. I'm gonna lead with peace today and see it rise. Try that. I'm gonna lead with peace today. I'm gonna lead with peace today. I'm gonna lead with peace today and see it rise. Now you know the next part. I'm gonna get down to the river. I'm gonna take up the revival. I'm gonna lead with peace today. And we have some amazing harmonies like low part. I'm gonna get down to the river. I'm gonna take up the revival. I'm gonna lead with peace today. I'm gonna walk my blues away this time. Here we go. I'm gonna walk my blues away. I'm gonna walk my blues away. I'm gonna walk my blues away and see it rise. Get down to the river. Gonna get down to the river. I'm gonna take up the revival. I'm gonna walk my blues away. Sing my love today. I'm gonna sing my love today. I'm gonna sing my love today. I'm gonna sing my love today and see it rise. I'm gonna get down to the river. I'm gonna take up the revival. I'm gonna sing my love today. And then this song takes the weirdest detour, but if you were a child in the 80s or you raised children in the 80s, you'll know this one. Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worry and your pride. Just know the bare necessities. Old Mother Nature I'm gonna take up the revival. I'm gonna sing my love today. I'm gonna sing my love today. And I'm going to just sing the very last song for you. And we've ended, I think, every session for 20 years with this song. And it's an Irish blessing. I'll send that out, and well, you'll learn it if you come to the class, but there isn't time today. It goes like this. May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure, pure light within you guide your way home. Thank you for singing along. So I think it's time for questions now. And is Zara there?
Yep.
Here I am.
Great.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. You have such a beautiful voice.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I love your vibrato. So effortless. It's awesome. Great. So it looks like there's some questions in the chat. I will take a look at that and we'll see who they're directed toward. Okay. Does this also apply to whistling? Yeah, I would say so, because there's that same tonality. You're kind of going up and down with whistling. Your out breath is longer than your in breath. Yeah, I would say that it applies to whistling too.
Can I just add too that a lot of us who are older have lost the ability to whistle, and we didn't even notice that it was gone. We did a little test in choir, and getting those muscles working again can be done. We've been doing some exercises, so we've actually included whistling as part of our warm-ups these days.
Oh, that's really good to know. Will this help with irritable? I'm not sure what that question means. Carol, if you want to maybe retype it. There's just some fun comments in here too. Yeah, and then somebody asked the same about whistling, and then they also asked about a flute. So yeah, the flute, you're not really controlling the tone of your vocal cords, but you are having that really long exhale. So that long exhale is definitely useful for that nervous system. And then there's also the flow of playing an instrument. There's also the neuroplasticity of learning songs and learning the instrument. So there's a lot of ways in which instruments are beneficial too, and especially wind instruments. Yeah. Someone asked to see my email again. Sure. Get to the last slide. There you go. Oh, someone said their dog is howling along with them. That's really cute.
I had to leave my dog outside because of that.
Yeah, I've seen a dog online that can like do notes. Like she'll sing the note at the dog and the dog will sing it back. It's really cute. Oh, someone said it would be helpful to have the lyrics. Do you in your courses usually have the lyrics on the screen?
What I do when I'm actually teaching back and forth, we don't use the words, but then when we sing the song, we put the words up. Just when we relax and say, okay, now we're going to start from the beginning and sing the whole song, I do put the words up then. But I do ask that people learn it without looking at the words, because it goes to a different part of the brain when you start using the words and you're looking at them. And I taught really quickly today, but I do slow it down for those people who are having difficulty.
Okay, that's great to know. And there's a lot of people just saying that they love this and that you're great. Let me just read this question here. Okay, so I think this is probably better directed towards you, Tina. The question is, can you teach us when to engage your vocal cords when singing? I tend to take a breath in and hold it and then sing out on the out breath while still holding the breath. I don't think this is correct. I'm running out of breath when I try to sing. It makes me lightheaded. Can you show us how to do it the right way?
We do breathing exercises, and we do lots of awareness around our voice. So with the idea too that as you get to learn how things operate, it helps you control it and helps you shape your voice and work on your tone. And yes, so that things like that do get addressed.
Okay, awesome. Someone said, sometimes my voice is weak and I seem to have a husky voice and sing. Does that impact what I'm getting out of the singing? I would say no, as long as you're singing. And I think you can kind of break through those barriers too, the more that you work your vocal cords. And especially if you're keeping them really nice and hydrated, drinking lots and lots of water, then that's going to help you to loosen them up a little bit more. So it might just be that they're like one of the first things to get constricted when we're in fight or flight is our vocal cords. They tend to just like, zip up, zilch up kind of thing. So by working through that, you can kind of work through some of the huskiness sometimes too. I'm just reading through some of these here. Okay, there's a lot of people saying that they would love to join the group. Someone was asking if you could repeat the info about the class, like when it starts and how long it runs and stuff like that.
Just so it's Mondays at 2 o'clock, starting on, oh shoot, I've turned all of my devices off so that they wouldn't interfere.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't. I think it starts. I can't even look at the calendar right now. Just a second.
That's okay. I'm sure Bruno will send you a
Yeah,
nice.
it'll be sent out. But Mondays, and it starts mid-month.
Okay. Yeah, I'm imagining it's on the website, on Dr. Smith's website. Someone else is there.
It starts September 16th,
Perfect.
2 to 3 p.m.
Um, Someone was asking, is there anywhere I can do this in person in the Lower Mainland? Are you aware of things that similar to your offerings in Lower Mainland?
Yes, I'm part of the Ubuntu Choir Network. So if you're looking for somebody to sing with in person, there's yeah, if you look up Ubuntu, Ubuntu, there's somebody named Patty Powell who's doing some great things.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, I think there's a ton of choirs in the main. My sister choir from Nelson Corps is in the Lower Mainland too. So yeah, there's tons of opportunities, I think. And I think there's drop-in ones too if you don't feel like you can commit to the full year. Some choirs require you to commit to the year, and I'm pretty sure there's just like drop-in singing groups too, or sound circles sometimes it's called. Like you can look on Facebook or on Google sound circle or choir and probably come up.
I don't know if anybody's mentioned my choir. We meet in a garden, but we're 6 feet apart, and we're keeping lots of space between us. And when we sing indoors, we're singing in a room that holds 200 people, and there's 30 of us, and we keep it. We're a vulnerable group, but just being aware that singing is a way to ironically, the wonderful thing of singing is you do have to be careful as you're singing.
Yeah, really good point. I'm sure that's like definitely top of mind for a lot of people in the group. There are
So
things.
check with the choir director to find out if there's any precautions. Like our group, you have to, check that your health, but lots of groups have moved on and they're not addressing that anymore. So just need to be aware of what the group's protocols are.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of thank yous. Someone said, wow, it brought tears to my eyes and touched something deep. Another thank you. So yeah, lots of people asking for the info on the classes. So it'll be on Dr. Arsenault's website, and then I'm sure Bruno will send out a reminder too. Okay. Someone was saying, I find I tire very, very quickly. Is it okay to hum? Is it still beneficial? Absolutely. Yeah, you can definitely hum. Humming actually increases nitric oxide quite a bit in the blood, which is really good for regulating the system. So it's a good alternative for sure.
And I've had a couple of people who couldn't vocalize at all, and they just imagined that they were singing, and they found that their breath regulated as they were imagining too. So even that they couldn't vocalize, that they could regulate their breathing just by imagining.
That's a beautiful suggestion too, is that like, yeah, even if you feel really tired with singing, picture it. It's kind of like people use it in sports psychology all the time, right? Imagining themselves shooting the perfect goal and they still get that like change in the system. So totally very helpful. Let's see. A clarification of a question from before. Oh, will this help with an irritable larynx? I mean, it could. I think it kind of depends on what is irritating it, but yeah, sometimes it can help. Sometimes it can make, like if it's a vocal nodule, for example, it might make it a little worse. To be singing, usually rest is recommended. So it kind of depends what is the irritation. Yeah, lots of questions about the class, when it starts and stuff like that. So someone was saying like, I'm not depressed really, but I notice I speak in a monotone now. So I'm assuming you mean probably since your diagnosis, and that your throat starts to cramp when speaking in a loud place. So yeah, absolutely. Sometimes we might not experience like the mental part of the dysregulation. So we might be in freeze, but we might not be feeling like super sad or depressed or anything, but your body is reacting, right? So sometimes you could feel just fine, but then your body's having these reactions. So that's a good indication that something's happening in your body to sort of tighten around the vocal cords. And yeah, singing or gargling or doing things to kind of release that can be really regulating for the system for sure. Someone was asking if you were gonna offer another session after the September one.
I don't know. We'll see how it goes, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Someone was saying they weren't sure if they would have the energy for a full hour of singing. Would it be okay for them to stay for a part of it if they can't make it through the whole thing?
I think so. Because it's a must. Like I always think of singing. It's the more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. But you want to just be there for as much as you can handle. Another thing would be just to be listening, if that works too. But we do have. I have had some people that will just do a half a session, and that's perfectly okay. Getting some singing is the best part.
Yeah, that's a great point because the listening to the singing can be super regulating too.
And you're learning while you're listening, right? All my songs are like earworms, right? And the way to learn them is to learn them passively, to try not to analyze them. Like people who have the hardest trouble are the people who used to reading music and want to know how many beats are between this and that. And it's a matter of just relaxing, and the songs get into your brain. You don't have to work hard at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone had a question. They said they were singing their whole lives, and now singing makes them really dizzy and exhausted, more than any other activity. And they can't sing in a choir anymore, and they can barely make it through a concert as an audience member because it triggers exhaustion, feeling dizzy, migraines. What does that mean for the parasympathetic system? So there's a few things that kind of come to mind when I read this question. One is that if singing is making you feel really dizzy, then it might be that your breath pattern when you're not singing, when you're just kind of going throughout your day, is a little bit off since you had your diagnosis, right? So it's possible that you're breathing more apically on the regular and you're not getting that and like enough oxygen on the regular. Your lungs and your breathing apparatus basically isn't used to taking in that much. So oftentimes when I start retraining breathing with my clients, then they'll feel really dizzy because they're taking in more than they usually do. So we want to kind of train that up slowly and start with practicing diaphragmatic breathing a few minutes a day and then increase that to more. So that doesn't make you feel dizzy. It's also great to practice it laying down because then your diaphragm isn't working against gravity. It's just it's easier when you're laying down. So I would practice building up your diaphragmatic breathing before trying to sing, and then maybe trying other things like gargling. Another thing that comes to mind is that if, you were in choir before and you've sung your whole life, this was something that's really important to you, then your nervous system might be attaching quite a bit of meaning to that, which can make it more triggering, right? So it's like the meaning is like, oh, if I can't do this, then I'm losing this really important thing in my life. So it might be that it's more triggering, more dysregulating, harder to breathe, more tension, more migraines because of that connection to that piece. So it's something I think that might be worth like journaling about or talking to a therapist about that piece of it. And then for the like physical side, I would practice the diaphragmatic breathing. I see that someone has their hand raised. I don't know that you can unmute yourself in these types of calls, so just type it in the chat. Okey-dokey. So someone was asking if Ubuntu could be prescribed. They said I have a group here, but it's $20 a person. I can't do that, but friends always tell me I should join. Maybe you mean so that like an insurance provider or something could cover it. Maybe if you could clarify that question a little bit more, I could probably answer it better.
Yeah, because our group with Tina is covered by MSP.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So someone was saying, I'm thinking about taking up music lessons again, was trying to decide between clarinet or violin. Would clarinet be more beneficial with the breath work involved in regarding to helping the parasympathetic nervous system? I would say yes, it could be, but it also depends on your interest and your flow state. So if like you really love the violin and you have a great flow state when you play it, and you have a great interest in learning that instrument more than the clarinet, that might be more regulating for your system, but certainly the breath plays a role in regulating the system. Honestly, a didgeridoo is a great way to do that too. And they're pretty cheap to buy online. Oh, someone said there's a community choir in Vancouver called Inquiring Minds. That's a cute name. With conductor Earl Peach. And they said that it's very relaxed and the only commitment is 2.5 months at a time. That's nice to know. So if you have your hand raised, just type it in the chat because I don't think you can unmute. Someone asked if they're allowed to be on mute during your classes. Is that something that you're okay with?
Everyone's on mute in my class. I don't hear you. You just hear me. So what you're doing at home is my voice is coming through your computer speakers and you're singing with my voice. It's actually quite satisfying. We found that way more satisfying than trying to imagine we were in a choir and all singing together. So you're basically singing duets with me.
Are the cameras on?
Cameras are on. Oh, I'm hoping they're on. I haven't done anything like this where I haven't seen the people I'm singing with before, so I don't hear you or see you. But
So cameras, so the way it's going to work is the same way as our usual groups work, is that people will be muted unless Tina offers opening for questions, then she can let people unmute themselves to answer questions, but you'll stay muted. And then just because many of our patients have light sensitivity, we don't have a requirement for having your camera on. But for those that do, it will be the same as the groups that we run. You'll be able to see the faces of the people, either their picture or their name or their face if they decide to And I would encourage you, if you do have the energy, to show your face, because seeing the faces and doing it together, just like Zara is talking, there's something about you know, even if you're just throwing a ball at each other, they showed that people in a circle, they just throw a ball at each other. Doing something in a group activates the extra piece of the parasympathetic that Zara was talking about. And also seeing facial movement also has that impact. So I would encourage you that if you have the energy to and you don't have too much anxiety, to turn your camera on.
And it is wonderful to see everybody singing along and imagine that all over everybody's singing the same song on their computers. They're just it just and it every group I've had. I mean, yeah. It's when you sing with people, it's a good thing.
That is really nice. Yeah. Someone had asked if you could repeat again what the COVID protocols are and where you rehearse.
Okay, so we never rehearse because we don't perform. We just sing. There's never the end result is the class or the songs that we're singing on the day that we sing them, and that's so it's mostly just about singing. So they wanted to know where, or the protocols. Sorry.
Both.
Okay, so my business is called Let's Sing. And we sing at the the Gardens on Anderton at 10 o'clock on Wednesday mornings. And you can contact me through my website if you're going to come. I usually just make sure that people who are coming know the protocols. So that, and so it's a group of about 30 people. We're under a canopy. There's masks, singing masks available if you would need a singing mask. And it's $15 and it's sliding scale. And so my business is always operated on sliding scale, pay what you can. And the main thing is just to come and sing.
Great. And then someone had asked for the title of the lullaby song so they could look up the lyrics.
It's called The Darkness Lullaby. And it is by Rachel Weasley.
Great. Thank you. And then someone had suggested that the UBC Brain Wellness also has online singing, and it's fabulous, and you're muted, but the instructor sort of same idea. So yeah, there's quite a few questions about like the link or the time or the start date of the course. All of that's going to be on the website, on Dr. Arsenault's website.
And Zara, you're okay with sharing your slides like you usually do?
Sharing my slides?
Yeah.
Are they not shared right now?
No, I mean with the group that participated
Oh.
today.
Yeah, yes, of course.
So
Yeah.
Bruno will send out the slides tomorrow, and he'll send out a direct link with the so that you can register, and he'll also send the blurb that is on our website about Tina's course. So you'll get all of that tomorrow. The link, the description, and the slides.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, and somebody also commented that that group with Patty Powell is very unconditionally open, very wonderful. They said that they laid on the floor when they were really fatigued, and it was healing to have people singing around them. That's good to know that there are groups that are going to be, you know, accessible and, you know, aware of your needs. Someone had asked, what's a singing mask?
They aren't N95. I think I can't remember what their designation is, but they are a mask that just has a little bit more room in them to sing.
Nice.
So it just cuts the the breath getting out.
Yeah. And then someone asked to repeat the community choir in Vancouver. Was it Ubuntu? Is that what it's called?
The network that we sing in is the Ubuntu network. And I don't know the name of Patty Powell's choir, but
Okay.
You'll find her if you look up UBUNTU. There's a directory of choirs there that you
I
can.
just love how many choirs there are. It's so
Well, there's
great.
quite a few choirs, and the Paul, it's everybody can sing. There's some that perform, there's some that don't. There's lots of variation, but the idea is that we welcome everybody, and there's no barriers to singing with us.
That's beautiful. Yeah, even in Nelson, which is only 10,000 people, I think there's 6 choirs. It's kind of wild how many there are. Great. Any other questions? we still have 12 more minutes if anyone has anything else they'd like to ask. Or anything else that you wanted to add, Tina or Dr. Snow?
I encourage
No,
people
I just want to
come and
thank
see.
both of you.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, have a great week, everybody. Take care.
All right.
Perfect.